We're happy you're choosing to spend a little time with us here on Retiring Well this week. Starting off the show, John and I are going to do a little daydreaming and talking about your retirement vision. What is that? Who's in that vision? And why is that important to your overall plan? Leah and Jack are going to talk about Roth IRAs for kids. Is that even a thing? And if so, why would that potentially be a good idea? Nick is going to join us is how IRMAA could affect you. What is IRMAA and why is that some of the things you need to be considering when it comes to that? Then Joe is going to be talking about the Money Minute, a quick hitting thing to learn all about what that may be and how it can affect you. And to wrap up the show this week, Ashley is going to be talking about, is now a good time to invest? What a common question we get, whether the market's up, down, or indifferent. People say, should I invest right now? Maybe some things to consider when it comes to that, and many, many more things in this action-packed show coming at you right now on Retiring Well.
Retiring Well, brought to you by Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan. Retiring Well. Plan to retire well.
It's 85 and sunny. The waves are crashing in on the beach. I just got off the boat after a nice morning fishing with the friends.
All right. Hold on. We're filming here. We're filming here. So I know you are apparently having a retirement vision. Is that right?
I don't think so. So why did you interrupt me? It was very nice.
I know. You were enjoying yourself quite thoroughly, but no, we got to get back to focusing on retirement planning. We got to help folks so that they can get to that point. So it's one where I know as you think about a retirement vision and everything, which Art was daydreaming or maybe having his retirement vision, but you know, when you think of businesses and they try and map out long-term plans and sort of have this vision of what they want to see happen within their business, the same should be true for you as an individual or couple as you're preparing for retirement. You want to sort of have that vision and get an idea of what you want the end to look like. And so there's a lot of different pieces that go into play for that.
It's a great point, John. It is so true. You know, I think we meet with so many great people over the years, and we've learned that one thing is very common with a lot of these folks is they've worked really hard to get their families through, to get them through and get to this point where now they can finally retire, that they haven't spent much time daydreaming about that time. And so when we start talking about retirement planning, it's really important to start to map that out. And if it's easier, I think, for people too, is if they have an idea what that looks like. You know, what is a priority to you in retirement? You know, some folks it's travel, others it's seeing their grandkids, others it's philanthropy sort of stuff for a hobby. You know, there's so many great options out there. But again, I think just allowing yourself to set aside some time to look ahead and what is important, because if certain things are more important than others, that's going to allow us to direct our financial planning a little bit more precisely and to have a higher chance of success, I believe, than just kind of a scattershot approach and not knowing exactly what your goals and wishes are.
Yeah, and as Art mentioned, like the who in your vision, that can be a valuable piece. I know I've got clients that now have children and grandchildren that live several states away, and they happen to do a lot of travel sports and everything, and so it's one where they want to be able to go and help cheer on their grandson and everything in baseball, and so it's one where they have to take that into consideration of, okay, well, what are those costs going to look like if we want to, you know, not going to make every single tournament, but they make several of them, and sort of factor that in. So you want to factor in, you know, who's in that retirement vision. Where is that vision going to take you? Are you going to be spending your winters here in Northern Michigan, or do you enjoy getting away for a short amount of time, whether that's a few weeks or several months? And so you want to start factoring those into the equation to better determine, okay, then what are the costs associated with that? I know I've seen clients that have been able to go and spend some time in the winter away in a warmer climate, and they're able to do it at a pretty reasonable price. Others, it's pretty costly. So it's one where, again, What does that vision look like for you specifically?
John just talked about the who. I'm going to challenge you with the when. We did a segment not long ago about dying rich. So thinking about the when this vision is going to happen. Not only when are you going to retire, but when specifically in those retirement plans are certain things going to happen. Don't put things off too far. When tomorrow's never promised for any of us, but also again, as John talked about, like grandkids, they grow up fast. There's certain travel destinations you want to go to. Get and do them while you're young and healthy and able to go navigate those. And so with specific timelines and stuff, again, we can map those out very precisely and allow for distributions to meet those needs, and we can get tax planning involved. So we want to mix this dream and this vision together with the detailed plans. And not only, I know it kind of starts to bore down the daydream when we start talking about taxes, but it's a reality when, again, we want to do this as efficiently as possible so we can allow that dream to happen. And again, continue that on for a long time, because again, your retirement is not a one moment in time. It's leading up to that. And hopefully it's 20, 30 plus years of enjoyment for you over time.
Yeah, most definitely. And so it's one where as you're sitting there and you're starting to hopefully daydream a little bit about what that retirement vision may be for you, we encourage you to give us a call. We'd love to sit down, no cost, no obligation, can give you a second opinion on sort of how you're doing things now and maybe give you some ideas of how you could improve that, as our goal is to walk alongside you and help you plan to retire well.
When it comes to your financial future, what's the value of a truly objective opinion? As someone looking for financial guidance, you have choices. There are thousands of captive financial professionals who work as employees for large national insurance companies and brokerages. There are also many independent financial professionals who aren't bound to any given insurance company, investment strategy, or product. So what's the difference, and why does it really matter to you? Consider this. If you walked into a doctor's office with a sore throat, a bad cough, and a high fever, you'd expect that doctor to assess your symptoms, do a thorough diagnosis, and ultimately hand you a prescription written to cure your particular ailment. In other words, you'd expect the doctor to consider all the medications available and give you his or her absolute best thinking on what's best for you. On the other hand, if that doctor opened the cupboard and only had 3 or 4 prescriptions available, maybe those offered by his or her favorite pharmaceutical rep, most patients would immediately raise an eyebrow, suspicious that they might not be getting what was really in their best interest. The same may be true for your financial well-being. If your financial professional is an employee who's contractually bound to represent a given insurance or investment company, only offering their products while there are literally hundreds of others available, how sure can you be that you're being offered what's truly best for your situation? You don't walk into a tailor or seamstress shop to get clothing off some rack. You go for a custom-tailored fit. And with something as important as your financial future at hand, the stakes are even higher. We believe you deserve a truly objective opinion. We think you deserve to consider more of the available options. And we believe your financial future is worth a custom-tailored prescription to help you feel confident for the days ahead. If you'd like a second opinion on your current retirement strategy, simply contact our office today.
Hey, welcome to this segment on Roth IRA for kids. I heard a quote one time from my basketball coach at Hope College, and he said, "Nothing worthwhile comes without hard work." And so as I'm trying to pass that trait on to my own kids, my wife and I are constantly trying to strategize and give them opportunities to work. And so one thing we were doing this year is with some mowing of grass, weed whipping, cleaning, we were able to actually pay our kids, a wage. Then what happens, because they report those wages, they have the ability with that earned income to contribute to a Roth IRA. Then what we did is, even though they're 9, 11, and 14, we were able to open up this Roth IRA for kids. We're alongside of them. We then said, what are you really interested in? For instance, my son Breck loves technology. So guess what kind of stocks we picked in his Roth IRA for kids? Of course. We've got a nice basket of diversified tech stocks. Okay. My daughter, Ellie, she, I kind of put this on her, but I said she loves precious metals. Okay. So in hers, we looked at some silver and some gold and some precious metal mining companies kind of things. But either way, they got to learn what it's like to invest, to see the market fluctuations, and to work hard. And so it was a beautiful connection there. But there are some rules, right, Leah? Because we had another client, business owner, said, yeah, I have a 2-year-old granddaughter and I want to pay her. So how'd they do that?
Yeah. So we, what they did is they took their 2-year-old granddaughter, and she's like the face of their company. And so she's on all the advertising, the episodes that they have, all of that kind of stuff, and for an NIL deal. And what it is name, image, and likeness. So you have this sweet little girl, and she's their marketing, and she's now on the payroll, and she reports that to the IRS, and she's able to contribute to a Roth IRA for kids, even if she doesn't know it.
Yes. And now, was she picking her stocks, or how did it work, to the next level? Like, yeah, we have the account open, we've funded it, everything's kosher with the IRS, but now what?
Yeah, so we actually worked with her. Grandpa was the person that kind of wanted to get this going for her, and figured out, hey, maybe let's figure out what stock or position makes sense for her, as she has the next 16 years of growth before it's actually like her account.
Now let's talk through about that, because there are maybe some potential downsides. When she's 18 and is of age, what happens to that account, and what are her options with that account if she wanted to spend some of it?
She would be able to spend the contributions on it. Now, if she was to say, I want to spend the whole account and I want to do something really fun with it, right? She'd have to pay taxes on the interest, or the money that was made, and then there's also that early withdrawal penalty.
And how much is that?
10%.
So maybe she gets coached into, per our example, decisions that are wise. Maybe at 18 it's a tougher challenge, but prefrontal cortex, I think isn't quite fully developed, but good parenting, good coaching, will never go and get old. So if you're sitting there, maybe either as a business owner or just have some questions, this is one of those unique situations that we don't have to have all the answers. That's not the mentality we take. It's like, what are you trying to accomplish? What do you know? What do you want? Let's go see what's out there. And the beauty of our company is we have access to absolute country best, nationwide, education first opportunities. So if we don't know it, we'll go learn it and pass it along. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.
Centennial Wealth Advisory invites you to attend one of our informative dinner events. There is no cost and no obligation, and dinner is on us. You have seen us on the Retiring Well TV program, now in its 15th year. Come out and meet us in person. Our live event includes an educational presentation on important financial planning topics. Call 888-608-5825 or register online to reserve your seats today. Don't miss this important live event to help you plan to retire well.
It's your retirement. How will you live it? How will you be remembered?
Will you be able to take me on vacation? Will you be there for my ball games? Will you teach me your values? You'll be able to play with me. Oh, help me go to college. How will I remember you?
Have the retirement you dream about. Contact us today.
Every business says they're better, but the ones that earn and display the BBB seal back it up. It instantly identifies businesses that are committed to operating with integrity, honoring promises, and telling the truth. Makes you wonder why every business doesn't have it. So look for it, because it's looking out for you. That's why it's the sign of a better business. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
On this segment, I want to talk about something that often surprises many people when they retire and start Medicare, and that is IRMAA, okay? IRMAA stands for Income Related Monthly Adjustment Amount, and it's basically a surcharge to your Medicare Part A or Part B and Part D premiums, okay? So let's start by just getting into the basics of Medicare. Okay. Another surprise with Medicare is a lot of people assume that Medicare is free, okay, because you've paid into it your whole working life, right? That Medicare tax rate on your paycheck. And so when they get to Medicare age, they're like, well, I shouldn't have to pay anything for this. Well, that's not true, okay? You do have that Part B premium and oftentimes a Part D premium as well. And so for 2026, the Part B premium is $202.90, okay? But that base premium is based on where your income actually falls, and it's actually your modified adjusted gross income, what our government is looking at, okay? So if your income is too high, you actually pay a surcharge, and that's where IRMAA comes into play, that income-related monthly adjustment amount. So for 2026, the first IRMAA tier, as far as income goes, is $218,000 for a married couple, and $109,000 for a single filer. But remember, that's based on your MAGI number, or modified adjusted gross income, okay? Now, the Social Security Administration actually looks back 2 years to what your previous income was, and that's how they determine if you went over the income threshold or not, okay? So if you find yourself crossing these different IRMAA tiers, and you can see the different tiers on the screen there, but the first tier, if you get above $218,000 as a married couple, pushes that Part B premium from $202.90 a month all the way up to $284.10 a month. Okay, and then also your Part D premium, that goes up to $14.50 a month. The big thing to remember with this is, well, Medicare, it's not a family plan, okay? So it's individual. So you and your spouse, if you're both on Medicare, you're both going to be subject to that surcharge, okay? Now also on the screen, you'll see those different tiers, and you can see if you have really high income, like over $750,000 as a married couple, that's the final tier or the highest tier of IRMAA. And that means that your Part B premium would cost over $689 a month each, and that Part D premium would be $91 each per month, okay? So that can get very, very expensive. Now you're probably watching this TV screen saying, Nick, my income in retirement is gonna be nowhere near that, right? With your Social Security benefits between you and your spouse, and maybe you got a pension and, you know, small IRA distributions and so forth. And you're probably right? But oftentimes what surprises people with this IRMAA is the one-off income situations, okay? Like, for example, let's say that you sell a property and that property is subject to capital gains, okay? Well, those capital gains, they count towards your modified adjusted gross income and can push you into these different IRMAA tiers. Another thing to think about is large IRA distributions or 401k distributions, okay? All that pre-tax money, when you take it out in a large distribution to maybe buy that Corvette or buy that beach house down in Florida, well, guess what? It's all taxable. It counts towards your modified adjusted gross income and can make your Medicare premium cost more, okay? So what are some specifics about this IRMAA? Well, one thing to think about is this is on an annual basis, okay? So the Social Security Administration looks at your income each and every year. So if it's just 1 year that you have this higher income and then it reverts back to a lower income, well, you're only subject to those IRMAA surcharges for that year, okay? You're not stuck with it for the rest of your life. Another thing that we've had clients do is actually fight the surcharge, okay? You can use SSA Form 44 and you file an appeal for a life change and so forth. Now, it is very uncommon to actually win the appeal, but if you're in one of those higher IRMAA tiers, it could make sense to try to fight that, okay? So just remember, IRMAA is a surcharge based on your modified adjusted gross income being a little bit higher than the base, okay? And it makes your Part B premium cost more. So if you have questions about how to plan for this or how to work in IRMAA to your overall retirement plan, please don't hesitate to give the number on the screen a call and schedule a free, no obligation consultation where we can help you plan to retire well.
Living life isn't always easy. It puts up challenges and obstacles you'll have to overcome. There are responsibilities. You put in effort to provide and take care of your family, and to save and invest, to balance work and life. Planning is the first step to succeeding. Plan to retire well.
When you have confidence in your retirement future, you can live the life you've always imagined. Because of planning, you now have time to reflect on the wonderful memories of your life. You and your spouse finally have the luxury of leisure time together. To spend fun times with your grandkids, sharing the joy of their excitement about life. Smiling at the thought of quality time with your children and of picking up the check. At last, you have time to breathe and rekindle the love of your life. Why? Because you imagined what could be. You planned for retirement. So today, you own your future.
If you like watching Retiring Well, make sure to go to youtube.com/retiringwell and click the subscribe button to never miss any of our TV shows and other informative videos.
Introducing to you the new Retiring Well webinar series, a new monthly webinar that's designed for young professionals and the families that support them. You know, as we've seen a lot of you coming in from the TV show or watching our YouTube channel or coming to our dinner events, one piece of feedback that we keep hearing is you wanting something that's live and a midday option for our young kids or grandkids, kind of that young professional group, or just still working family and friends that can't, come to our different evening events. So this webinar series, we're going to be launching it this spring, and it's going to be going the last Wednesday of every month. It's going to be hosted on an array of different topics. So things as simple as our kids graduating college, what do they do with this new 401k plan? How do they start to create a financial plan? To more complex items, well, as we integrate families with getting married, or we have liquidity events like RSUs vesting or equity compensation plans, or simple just college and planning tools and legacy planning tools. We're going to cover an array of different topics. Each month, this is going to be hosted via Zoom. So you're going to be able to go share this link and invite as many people as you want to. We're not limiting or having a limit on the number of attendees. The goal is to talk for about 30 minutes on actionable items, not just talking theory. We want to give you actual ideas that you can go and implement so you can make decisions with confidence, leaving for about 15 minutes of just more of a general Q&A to answer any questions that are more specific to you, and then we'll be able to wrap up. So it's going to be a midday option for you that's going to be live that we can hope to do over the lunch hour. We have sort of all these different topics mapped out, but we would love to hear feedback from you on what items would be important that you would want us to focus on, okay? So there's gonna be more information coming. We're gonna be rolling this out here over the next few months. So check in on our website, check in on YouTube channel, or if you have questions, feel free to reach out to our office, and better yet, give us some feedback on this. But we look forward to seeing you soon.
Remember when life was simpler? When things didn't move quite so fast, and the world didn't seem so complex? Remember that? We do. And as the world around us has continued to speed up, becoming more complicated, and still a bit uncertain, we have managed to keep things simple providing sound, easy-to-understand financial advice and customized roadmaps for the road ahead, from tax reduction strategies, investment advice, and guaranteed retirement income you cannot outlive, backed by the claims-paying ability of insurance companies. We can be your single point of contact, a single call, a voice you recognize well, and a partner who can be by your side for the entire journey. We can't stop the world around us, but we can help ensure you're prepared for what's to come. To schedule a no-obligation meeting, simply contact us today.
Your grandchildren are precious to you. They are your life. This is your time to have that special relationship. Taking care of yourself is taking care of them. Centennial Wealth Advisory is offering a free, no-obligation retirement review to make sure you don't run out of money during your retirement. Centennial Wealth Advisory. Your best is yet to come.
This is one of the most common questions I get as an advisor. Is now a good time to invest? The truth is, trying to perfectly time the market is extremely difficult, even for professional investors. Now, markets move for many reasons: interest rates, inflation, economic data, and global events. And because of that, waiting for the perfect moment can often mean missing opportunities. Historically, the most successful investors don't focus as much on when they invest, they focus on how long they stay invested. In other words, timing the market has generally been more important than timing the market. And for many people, a consistent approach can help. Regularly investing into diversified portfolio over time. The strategy is often called dollar cost averaging. It helps smooth out some of the market's ups and downs. It's also important that your investments match your personal goals and risks. Someone saving for retirement 20 or 30 years from now may invest differently than someone who is nearing retirement and needs more stability. So instead of asking yourself, is now the perfect time to invest? A better question to ask is, do I have a long-term plan in place that fits my financial goals? Working with a financial advisor can help make sure your portfolio is aligned with your timeline, your comfort level, and your overall financial plan. So at the end of the day, the successful investing isn't about predicting every market move. It's more about having a thoughtful plan in place and staying committed to it over time.